What is up, Impact Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Anthem of Impact Wrestling Show. I am your host, as always, Jason, and we are going to go over last night's episode of Impact Wrestling from January 11th, 2018. One of the last remaining episodes from the Canada tapings. I thought overall it was actually a pretty good show. The 2 hours seemed to go by pretty quick to me. Especially compared to last week, how I said it was a fairly rough 2 hours to get through. I seemed to be a little more critical about everything last week. I don't know, maybe it was just the mood I was in. Maybe also just because, like I said, and even last night I was noticing it. A lot of things I just kind of was like, okay, not really knowing like exactly what's going to be carried over, if anything. Come with the tapings that are going on now currently down in Orlando. But I try to watch this episode for what it was. I tried not to think about it too much. And to be honest with you, I think with a lot of the good news that was going on yesterday and the day before with Impact Wrestling, with all the different news that's going on down in the tapings, I think I was in a little bit better of a mood watching it. I was a little bit more upbeat about not just the program but the company as a whole. So I think I'm sure that played a lot into it. I thought it was really good. I thought the matches were all actually really good, very entertaining matches. That's different stories. I thought moved well. Again, it's nothing that I've thought was a huge big deal, but again, it's just some of the critical things. Again, it's the crowd actually to begin. Whenever the first segment, I felt like the crowd was shown more, like it was lit up a little bit more, which was good. That was one of my complaints last time. Going forward, I think that they should, you should make better lighting to where more crowd is seen. Mainly just so it looks like they're wrestling in front of a good amount of people. The sound, though, it still bothers me. I don't know if it was just because they were in that Aberdeen Pavilion, where it always echoes. It's not. It's like the microphone that they were using. The only sound that they could get through your TV was the sound that would be in the arena, instead of having the mic sound go, it would go, yes, also in the arena, but then the sound would go from the mic straight through, the TV, whatever. I don't know how that stuff works, but you notice it in other live events. Whether it's you're watching a concert on TV, a live concert on TV, a live performance on TV. As clear as we're hearing it, I guarantee you, in person, if you're there in the audience, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds, you have that arena sound, and that was the difference. So that's still a little annoying. It doesn't take away my enjoyment, but Impact needs to touch up on those little itty bitty things for people to stop thinking that it's a second rate show, and that it's just a joke. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive on in and run down the show from last night. Starts off with AT&T coming out. Dane Lambert and Bobby Lashley coming out. Dane Lambert, again, has just been really good on the mic, and he's plays such a good heel. And, I know it's not just me. I know a lot of people have been praising him on how good he's been. And as good as he has been, that is awesome. That is really remarkable to see, just kind of him all of a sudden be this good. But also, I was thinking about this last night too while I was watching. I was how comfortable he is. You have wrestlers, professional wrestlers that have been doing this for a good while, who still are afraid to go full heel. They're still afraid to be hated, like a true heel should be, like it used to be. And Dan Lambert just does not care. And he's so comfortable about it. He's so comfortable in front of people. He's so comfortable about what he's saying. And that's where the conviction comes from. If you're comfortable, with what you're doing, what you're saying, that confidence, that all that conviction, that reality will come through in what you're saying, and it's amazing how he's been doing that. At one point, I thought this was interesting because I remember, and I can't remember which episode it was. It was a couple episodes ago, where Dane Lambert had said something, and Lashley kind of looked at him like, "What? Like, what's wrong with you?" Then you had that tag team match where he stole the win basically from Lashley, and at first Lashley again was kind of like, "Man, screw you." Kind of look at him, like, what's your problem? Why did you just take that win from me? And then and then was like, okay, you know what, screw it, we won, and then was happy about it. They kind of did that again, so I don't know, how they're going with this. Are they going to have Lashley, quit ATT, American Top Team, or what? Like, what's going to happen with that tension? Is there going to be dissension in the ranks? Whatever goes on, because he mentioned that Dane Lambert said, the one man that not even Bobby Lashley could do, KM took out James Storm, out of professional wrestling. And Lashley gave him that look. So that's interesting. That's something that's also, and what I love about it, it's not happening every week. It's not happening every segment. They're not being blatantly obvious with it, but they're just little seeds. Every couple episodes, and you see this little stuff. So unless you're really noticing it and really paying attention and you remember it from week to week, you're excuse me, you're not really ready for it. And then whenever a possible turn could happen here for Bobby, man, that's going to be explosive. It's going to be really cool, and it's been told just so very well, and a very just kind of, just a very, I'm trying to think of the word here, kind of a hidden way. I know that's not the word I'm thinking of. My brain is fried after this whole week of work. But anyway, so I'm liking what they're doing. They're just hinting at it. I'm very curious to see where this goes. I don't know if I'm the only one that's kind of been noticing it. Surely I'm not. But, down in the comments, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Bobby Lashley will leave American Top Team? And if he does, if they do write that in as a story, do you guys want that? Do you want to see a face run for Bobby Lashley? I wouldn't mind it. I think, even though he's been an amazing heel, I think he's been a heel long enough that I think he could turn face. You don't have to make him like a, white, a full-blown baby face, but if you do kind of like the cool, cocky baby face, I think he can pull it off. I think he's really good at that. But I think it would work. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Anyway, Dane Lambert brings out KM. That's Simmons, the newest member. KM gets on the mic, does his total thing. And as KM was talking, I've really started thinking how that a good real mid-card title would do wonders for a guy like KM. Because right now, he's just been kind of, wondering about, kind of not really doing anything. He kind of came in as kind of like this cousin of Sienna and never really wrestled, but always like would come down in the ring during her matches, help her win. Did a couple things with Congo Kong and Laurel Van Ness and that whole kind of group thing, and then didn't really do anything. And now has been kind of getting in this thing with American Top Team. Imagine if you had like that TV title, you know what I mean, or whatever. Or if the Grand Championship was just a mid card belt, didn't have the rules, didn't have any of that stuff, and that belt got to a point where it was known as, this is kind of one of our next guys, this is kind of one of our next project type things, and he held on to that belt for a while and got on TV and talked and got over and really had a chance to work his gimmick. I think he could be a huge, in the future, main event, big time company heel. I love, actually, at first I kind of was like, oh, this is kind of corny, but I love that like, Biff, Back to the Future Biff gimmick that he has, Don't Call Me a Liar thing that he has going. I think it's actually kind of cool. It's different. as long as you can't go too corny with it. But I think he does it fairly well. And he's a big guy. He's got a decent look. He seems to be able to be a pretty decent talker on the mic. But if he had that belt around him and he was made to look like a big deal, I think eventually he could be, a top heel for the company going forward, way off in the future. But he needs to have that mid-card belt, those mid-card feuds, to really bolster his resume and bolster his popularity in front of the eyes of the people that are watching every week. Right now, he just kind of looks like a dude that's so desperate to get on TV that he's constantly beating up nobody's in the back and beating up random people in a gym to catch the eye of American Top Team, with only at this moment one professional wrestler amongst them. Everybody else is MMA guys. Bobby's the only wrestler, and then King Mo's the only guy that's had like a match or two. Outside of Dane Lambert, but King Mo's actually been professionally trained to be a wrestler. So, it's not coming off well for him, but I think he could. I think he has that potential. And as he was talking to Mike last night, that's all I kept thinking, that, especially like that television title that I had brought up before in previous videos. Let's say like an EC3 held on to that for a full year and did all this stuff, and made that title seem just as important as the World Championship. And then somebody else took it, blah, blah, blah. And then KM finally, would get a hold of that belt and have all that lineage behind it. And now you think he's a big deal, especially if you let him hold on to it for a good while. Which I personally think that kind of belt is a belt you never just hot potato. Like, you really shouldn't hot potato unless you have like one of those crazy blood feuds where you kind of hot potato it between the two of them like once or twice. To really ramp up this rivalry of, they're so even and there's, they'll do anything to beat each other. They'll, and then you can end it with like a, first blood match or something like that. But yeah, that, I just kept thinking, I really think that'd be good for him. But of course, then the whole thing ends with Moose running out, attacking people. They get the upper hand, so then Eddie comes out and helps out Moose and clears out the house, and then that set up for the main event, that tag team match that we got. Next we go to an EC3 Open Challenge. And Petey Williams answered a call. I thought EC3, this was one of EC3's better promos that he's had in a while. I feel like since he's turned back to being heel, his promos, none of them have been necessarily bad, but it's like, I think he keeps trying to re-spark that fire or that lightning in a bottle that his first heel run was. And it kind of falls flat sometimes. Sometimes it hits really well. This was definitely one of those promos where I felt like he wasn't trying too hard to sound like he used to. He's just kind of like this new heel, and I thought it was done really well. I just thought his promo last night before the match was just really good. Definitely one of his better ones that he's had in a very long time. I was actually kind of surprised they actually let this match be more of a fast-paced match. Kind of more would fit more of the PD style. I thought this was a really good match. It was kind of funny because like I've never once thought like, man, it'd be a good dream match, Petey Williams and EC3. But whenever Petey answered the call and like his music hit, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be like a really good match. Like, I got really excited. Like, this is gonna be a really good match, as long as they don't just like squash Petey, which they ended up not. They actually had a really good match, and if they were really like, obviously this match was just set up, and I kind of knew from the very beginning, just because all he talked about was Matt Sydal before the match, so you knew Matt Sydal was gonna get, was gonna interfere. So you knew this match was just happening to set up a Matt Sydal interference to further that story. But if that was the actual feud, PD and EC3, I think they probably could put on a good series of matches, man, especially for a title, and really let them go. I think they could put on a good match. Now that is like, I want to see, it's kind of like a dream feud for me. I kind of want to see that feud happen. But yeah, like I said, I thought it was really good. Good fun match again. Like I said, all these matches were fun. even the ones that maybe weren't much, they were still like fun to watch. Like I was just having a lot of fun watching Impact Wrestling last night. But like I said, Seidel did interfere, caused Petey Williams the match. So EC3 did win, and then Seidel later on gave another promo. Basically, he was challenging him to a match for the title, but it was just one-on-one, a 60-minute time limit. No more judges, no more rounds, just one-on-one. Whoever pins you or submits the other person, see who actually is better type thing. So I guess we'll be seeing that soon. And then we get a backstage interview with Aries, and hands down, she gave, I think, easily her best promo period in Impact. I haven't seen a lot of her other stuff, especially not promo stuff, like in other indie companies or anything else that she's done. So, I can only say for her in Impact, I think by far. I'm not saying this is like the best acting. I think she's been great portraying her character and evolving her character and everything else. But now that they're really letting her evolve and move forward and grow as a character and a gimmick, she's been doing really good. And this promo was amazing. I just thought it was really, really good. She's really bought into this character. She's become this character, and I think this year's going to be a huge year for Aries. I really do. Not just because she's probably going to win the title here soon. I just mean her performances, I think, are going to be amazing, and I think she's just really going to become one of those top female talents in the world this year, and everybody's going to know about her. Kind of like the year prior where Rosemary and Sienna kind of had those years where all of a sudden it was like their names are on the tip of everybody's tongue whenever they're talking about professional wrestling. Aries next. Aries will be the next one all year long that we're going to see. Hey, you need to come to WWE. Hey, you need to come to WWE. Hey, I hope you're in the next Mae Young Classic. Hey, that's going to be all year. We're going to just get used to it, fans. Get used to it. You're going to see it all year long on YouTube videos, on Twitter, on Facebook, everywhere. Trust me, that's what's going to happen this year. After that, we get the Laurel Van Ness, KC Spinelli match. It was non-title. Again, this kind of felt like, okay, we know why this match is happening, so Allie can get her revenge on Laurel from the attack last week. Again, this was a pretty good match, and they got physical. I thought it was pretty good. Again, Laurel's another one that's really kind of, now that they've let her finally, grow that character and evolve that character, and she's been in the ring, I think she's really taken the ball and ran with it. I think she's been really good. Of course, and Casey Spinelli is no joke either, man. She's good too. She can go in the ring. I like whenever women wrestlers can be really physical and they're not hesitant in the ring. Sometimes in the Casey Spinelli matches so far I've seen an Impact, and again, I don't know if this has to do with still trying to get used to the 6 sides, but sometimes it feels a little clunky with her, but for the most part, I think she's been really good, and she's super physical, and that's always fun to watch. Of course, Laurel wins, but then Allie attacks Laurel after the match and runs Laurel off. Allie stands tall. Now we get the Eli Drake promo of the champion's address, as he calls it. This was a very typical Eli Drake promo. Nothing really much to say. It was good. All of his promos are good. Sometimes it can get a little too catchphrasey, especially for being a heel. But they're good and they're fun and they're entertaining. So I'm definitely not shitting on it at all, like on any of the stuff. I'm a huge Eli Drake fan. But this led to Patron coming out, and then Patron talking, saying how he wants that belt, and then says a bunch of Spanish bad words, kind of, in a way. They're not real bad, but they're kind of bad, and then I don't know, just another typical El Patron promo, which then again brings out Johnny Impact, and then he's saying, "Oh yeah, you guys are going to Detroit. Well, I'm going to Detroit too." And so I guess we're going to get a three-way match next week from some promotion that's going to be in Detroit. We're going to get what's going to be one of those filmed outside of, and then we're going to see basically a highlight reel. Again, I'm okay with it, but I don't necessarily understand it because for a world title match with nothing but Impact Wrestling people, to have it taped outside and then show it on the program and do like what they've been doing and just basically show like a highlight, an edited version of it, why not just have it during those tapings? And get a full match and get your people behind it. Fans, they're your fans that are there that have paid money to see them. So you'll probably get a better reaction than say you're at some other independent wrestling promotion. Like the last one that they did with Drake and Patron. I mean, there might have been like 50 people in that crowd. That looked so bad. But hey, we'll see. That's gonna be one interesting thing to see what this new creative team is and this new vision going forward is. Are they gonna do these outside tapings like this and show them on Impact? Or are they gonna keep doing that? Like I said, I think it's actually kind of a cool idea. It just, I think, needs to be executed better, utilize it better as far as don't have like your world champion, unless he's fighting like coming up here for Defy Wrestling, or yeah, isn't it Defy? I think it's Defy or Destiny. Anyway, it's gonna be Pete Dunne versus Austin Aries. Their champion, who is also the WWE UK champion, Pete Dunne, versus the Impact Wrestling champion, Austin Aries. Now, of course, since he's wrestling Pete Dunne, WWE's not going to let that get put on Impact Television. But, there's a good example of, okay, yeah, I can see that match being filmed and then brought back, and then they can edit it down and then put it on Impact. But if it's, all three participants are Impact Wrestling's rosters, film it whenever you're filming everything else. That doesn't make any sense because I don't care if they're wrestling in a different arena. Like, that doesn't matter to me. So, again, I understand it too because it's probably a way to lessen the load on some people within that week time period. And then they can just film it at some other, later date and then put it on a random episode of Impact. But, excuse me. But, it is what it is. It all led to a brawl, and then Johnny Impact was standing tall. Sure. We'll see what happens next week. Pretty sure Eli wins, but, Anyway, then we go to the back, and there's Joseph and Chandler Park, and, they're talking a little bit, and Joseph Park's like, I don't know about this wrestling, Chandler, and going back and forth, and then all of a sudden Jimmy Jacobs walks up. It's good to see Jimmy Jacobs again. And, he was basically kind of talking to Joseph about how, I can't believe the man Abyss has turned into just this, this ambulance chaser. Abyss used to put people in ambulances. And all this stuff. He goes, well, you know what, Abyss is never coming back again. And, Jimmy Jacobs said, well, that's good because there's only one monster in Impact Wrestling, and that's Congo Kong. And then Chandler Park gets in his face, and then Congo walks up. So next week we'll get Chandler Park versus Congo Kong. This is going to be pretty cool. I'm actually looking forward to this. I like the partnership between Jimmy Jacobs and Congo Kong. And I'm interested to see, like I said, where and how they're actually going to evolve the character of Chandler Park. So I'm interested in that. We'll see how it goes. Then we get a couple, another quick video of OVE going in to LAX's clubhouse and kind of trashing it and stealing stuff. Then we went to commercial, come back from commercial for LAX to walk in and see it. That's whenever Conan says, we're going back to our roots. This is what we're going to do. Take down the ropes, put up barbed wire massacre match. So next week we're going to get that, which is kind of up in the air because They're still promoting it for next week's episode. But I saw today on Twitter Conan say that Pops deemed it too violent, so it will be on Twitch. But they haven't announced like any specifics about their new Twitch channel, if it's even up and running. So I'm a little kind of confused on that. We'll see what happens next week. Hopefully we'll get some type of information on that, because out of everything that's happened at these Canada tapings, this was the one match I really want to see. It's that Barbed Wire Massacre match. I think it's going to be absolutely insane, especially with the 6 guys that are going to go at it in this match. I mean, I cannot wait to see this match. I mean, this match could be the thing that puts, I mean, even though it's a previously taped thing and all this other stuff, you know, and it's during the other regime that maybe people weren't too happy about, all I know is that match is going to be awesome, and it could get people talking about Impact Wrestling again. That's what I think, at least. Then we get a X Division 6-man tag match between the Cult of Lee, Caleb Conley, and Trevor Lee, and Hakeem Zayn versus Desmond Xavier, Garza Jr., and Sanjay Dutt. I thought in this match, the person that kind of stuck out the most to me, not necessarily like he had the best match out of everybody, but just he stood out to me, was Hakeem Zayn. Since we haven't really seen him a whole lot, I've definitely never seen him on any other type of indie stuff or anything else that he's done. I know he won Global Forged, and you know, and I'm pretty sure he's fairly young in the business. I don't know how, but I think I mean, there's no way he's been in the business more than maybe 5 years. So I was really impressed with how he really kind of kept up with everybody. You know, he didn't seem, and I'm not just talking about move-wise and wrestling and how all that, but like just his character work and how he was working things. Nothing seemed too bland. Nothing seemed necessarily too generic. You know, he worked the crowd. He kind of knew what he likes to do. He kind of knows what his character is, at least. And you know, I just thought it surprised me that, you know, there wasn't like this obvious person in this match that probably didn't belong. Like, you know, one doesn't belong, and it's Hakeem Zayn. No, he fit in it. I actually thought he fit in it, and he did a pretty good job. But again, it was just a good, fun X Division match. I think it helped showcase Desmond Xavier, because clearly he's the next one going on, which then after this match, Desmond wins. So then Taiji Ishimori came out, went out there, showed him the belt, shook his hand, and then it became official next Thursday night. Desmond Xavier versus Ishimori for that X Division title. I am very much looking forward to that match. Then we get the main event. Bobby Lashley and KM versus Eddie Edwards and Moose. Super physical match. Love the typical Josh Hartnett spot. And he stayed down the whole match. Just stayed down. That was kind of funny because Dane Lambert really never paid attention to him laying there the whole match at all on the outside. He just kind of kept walking around him and paying attention to the match. Yeah, again, it's just a good match. It's just kind of a fun match. Didn't really have any bearing really on anything, at least I don't think. But yeah, you know, Dane Lambert, at some point towards the end, Dane Lambert distracted Eddie Edwards and allowed KM to get the win. So I don't know if they're going to go somewhere with maybe some dissension or some jealousy kind of thing between Cam and Lashley or not. They didn't really show too much of that, but in this specific match. But I was just, you know, it's a good thing that they let Cam win, let him get the win, because then that kind of puts him, now he's the one guy that didn't fit out of the 4, with the other 3 being kind of more of a main event type guys. I know Moose hasn't really been in the main event yet, but you know, he had that Grand Championship for a very long time. He's always been in high profile matches on pay-per-views. They've let him really travel the world, go over to Noah and down to AAA and stuff like that. So, you know, Moose, they definitely have high hopes for Moose, obviously. So throwing in KM and letting him get the win, even though it was a distracted win, you know, that's how heels win. So I'm okay with that. But that kind of shows, maybe they do see something in KM. So it'll be interesting to see if that follows through with this new creative vision going forward. And I do hope so. I think, like I said, I think he's got a lot of potential. But he's definitely got to be a work in progress, and they've really got to work at developing him as far as developing his character in our eyes, the viewer, and seeing him as a legit guy that could go after titles. Because he's been in the company for a while, and like they have not done anything to make us believe like he's a legit threat to any title. So again, it'll be interesting to see going forward. I don't know how much stock to put into anything that's been happening on these shows. So like I said, I'm just trying to watch these shows to enjoy them as they are week to week. And then hopefully whenever these next ones start on February 1st, we'll get some type of clarity on what's going to happen going forward. And that's what I'm most excited about, especially with all the people that have been showing up. Another guy returned last night at the tapings, and to be honest with you, I'm actually kind of glad he's back. I've always enjoyed this person's mic work and character. He's okay in the ring, but you know what? He wasn't going after titles. He was just kind of there. I wouldn't mind him, not necessarily going after titles, but I wouldn't mind him seeing him wrestle a little bit more. Kind of be more of a monster. Maybe they can rehash his kind of feud that they kind of teased right before he left. Again, I'm trying not to spoil anything, so I'm not using his name. But yeah, I was excited to see that he was back. Not like this, like oh my god, but oh hey, cool, awesome, glad that he's back. It's just gonna be cool. I think that they're really definitely, from what it seems like, Don Callis and Scott D'Amore have already changed the backstage atmosphere with Impact Wrestling. Austin Aries has even said as much on Twitter, and it's pretty cool. Even Austin, he went after, not after, because he didn't say it in a bad way, but he corrected Bully Ray today on Twitter that, hey, listen, man, I know it's going to take a while, but it's not TNA, it's Impact Wrestling. And, some other people like that. Because, I'm actually huge fans of Wrestle Talk, the YouTube channel Wrestle Talk. I think Ollie Davis and Luke Owen do a great job. I love watching and hearing what they have to say about different things. But yeah, the one thing that does always bug me is they call everything TNA. Even in their thumbnail for Austin Aries' return, it was Austin Aries, or big name returns to TNA. There is no such thing as TNA anymore. It's Impact Wrestling. And the reason why that kind of bugs me is because TNA has not really even been around since it really started back in 2010. Yeah, the pay-per-views still had TNA wrestling on it, but the show itself, there was never TNA written anywhere near any of the logos. It was always Impact Wrestling. Then, it was only Global Force Wrestling for, 2 months, 3 months? So, it's pretty easy to not call it Global Force or GFW. But, it hasn't really been full-blown TNA for so long. But we're going on 8 years now. Impact, just call it Impact. Why is that hard? I feel like they call it TNA because these two guys, whenever they talk about wrestling, they bring up, back in the day, because they clearly watched TNA at some point. I think even some of them watch it here recently. But I think they call it TNA because they know it gets under the skin of so many TNA fans, Impact Wrestling fans. They still call it TNA. That's why they do it. Because they love seeing people get on YouTube and be like, it's not TNA anymore, and get all, pissy and leave comments. I think they like that. They think it's funny, so they troll it. So they call it TNA all the time. So I don't know. Maybe, I guess, don't do it. But anyway, So it was cool to see, Austin kind of stand up and say something to somebody about it. And that's kind of cool because he just now came back and he's their champion. And that's what a champion should be doing. Um, who else? Saw somebody also post on Twitter that a lot of wrestlers are saying, man, it's a really cool backstage atmosphere and they're really having a lot of fun. I think it was Sean Ross Sapp, I think. And I think Ryan Satin's even said something good about Impact Wrestling over the last couple days. So that's all good things. We can all sit here and say we don't like this person or that person that does dirt sheets because, the way that they report things. And I agree because there's a couple people there that I don't like either. But if they've always been shitting on Impact and now they have something nice to say, that's always a positive no matter what you think of that person. You know what I mean? Like, that's always a good thing. So I think we got a lot of good things going forward for Impact Wrestling. I'm super excited about it. This weekend, I'm not sure exactly what day it is. I will post, before I do the video, I will post on my Twitter to look out for it, and that'll be my I'll book it, the reforming of Decay. It will come down this weekend. I'm not sure what day. If I'm going to do it tomorrow, Sunday, or Monday. I'm not quite positive yet. I've got some other things going on. More than likely, it'll either be Sunday or Monday. So be on the lookout for that. So until then, everybody, Impact Nation, peace.